say I've been getting tatted. They say they like my ink, yeah, I say that I'm flattered. They ask me where I've been, I say I've been getting tatted. On a regular, decorations on my body, I can't get enough.
Okay folks, so today we're just going to be going over a common question that I'm asked nearly all the time on YouTube and constantly in my videos, because people are still having rough running issues, rough idle issues. They don't know how to sort it, and as you guys know, as the channel's been growing, a lot of people ain't aware of my videos I put out many months ago. So we're going to be going over the N52 common misfires, rough running and the rough idle, if you guys have got it. Now, as you guys are aware, the update will rectify your rough idle, but it won't rectify it if you've got the problems of these common parts that are failing as well. Now, like I said, I'm just going to be going over this because as the channel's been growing, a lot more people are missing this video and not noticing it, and obviously it's, even for myself, even to go back to find that video is quite hard, and if it ain't been suggested to people, they're not going to end up finding it. So we're going to go over this video just so I can relate to the people again what will cause their rough running, because it's something I'm keep getting asked in all my other videos, and obviously I'm not mentioning what will cause rough running in all my N52 videos. Okay guys, so as you can see, this is my N52 engine, and I took the engine cover off so you guys are going to be able to see clearly. So we're just going to go over a common things that are going to make your N52 engine run like absolute crap if you do not change these parts. And obviously if these parts have failed, this is going to be the main common cause of your rough idle and your low down speeds. I get a lot of people asking me about their juddering or it's cutting out of stoplights, so let's go over them. So the first thing on these is the ignition coils. Now, as you guys know, they're electronic and they like to fail. Now, sometimes one of them will fail or two of them will fail, and if they do fail, I suggest replacing all 6 of them like I did when I got this car, to save any future problems long term, because what will happen is the others will fail after you change one of them, the rest will fail due to stress from the new working one. Now, if these are not your common cause, the next one will be fouled spark plugs, which is common if your CCV has gone, because what happens, it lets oil into the combustion chamber and then the spark plugs will get coated in oil and not fire correctly. So you could be having cylinder misfires for your spark plugs being coated, might not be your ignition cause. So what I suggest is, when you take your ignition coils out, take the spark plugs out as well to check them, and if they are covered and you've got the single electrode one, make sure you change them over for the 4 electric ones, as you guys would have seen in my video regarding the new style spark plugs. Make sure you go and watch that one if you haven't already, because it's very important that you change them spark plugs, because that will be the cause of your rough running as well. So the next one will be your eccentric shaft sensor. Now, this is used for the DME to know when to advance the timing and what side to advance it, and obviously to keep the Valvetronic in sync with the Vanos system itself. Now, if that goes out, that controls the eccentric shaft, which also controls the Valvetronic motor. If that fails, that will cause your car not to start, and it will also cause rough running. It can also cause your car to cut out as well. But if you're going to do the valve cover, I suggest changing that as well, because it will end up failing, then you have to take the valve cover back off anyway, so it doesn't make sense to have to do that. The next one on these is your Vanos solenoids. Now, we all know, you should all know what they're going to do if they go bad. If they end up failing, they are going to cause your idle to run dramatically rough, and as you guys know, cleaning them does not work. Replace them with genuine BMW ones and get the update to stop them failing again. You guys know what I mean about the update. I'm not going to explain it in this video because it's irrelevant, but that will stop your rough idle as well. These will cause your car to cut out when you're coming to a stop as well. They stop pumping the oil up to the Vanos adjusters, so it means it stops advancing the timing, which then if they stop, the whole car will shut down, because they're needed to control the oil flow to the Vanos adjusters. So just remember guys, make sure you change them. Do not go and clean them. Do not go and clean them. I will state that twice just so you guys know, clean them is not the answer and it's not going to fix your problem. They also can cause jerkiness, and it's something a lot of people will know about when they first start their car from cold. I was dancing around. This is the most common cause of them. They do fail about 100 km even before, and like I said, just change them, because otherwise you guys all run around for your fault codes. This is the main common culprit of why your cars run like crap. The next one guys is your camshaft sensors. Now, I haven't really noticed these fail as so much, well, here in the UK at least, but they can fail, and they will also cause your car not to start, to run rough, because these run in sync with the DME, which the DME advances the timing and knows the timing angle. Now if they fail, they won't know the timing angle, which can also cause your car not to start, to run rough, to throw misfire codes because they don't know what cylinder to fire at. If they come out of sync, they can be a big problem. They're not hard to replace, as you see, they're right here, and one's right down here as well. Not hard to get to, but you just got to remember, like I said, if they go bad, they can cause a lot of your codes as well. The best thing to do is to get Istan to scan the codes to make sure you can find exactly what code it is that it's throwing, because it could be for your Vanos, it could be for your camshaft sensors, it can also be for your ignition coils, it can be for many things on these cars. They're all electronic. This is why these cars were made a lot more easily with electronics, so you can diagnose the fault immediately. The next one on these guys is the Lambda Sensor. Now you see the Lambda Sensor sit down here, there's one here and there's one down there, and as you guys probably are not aware, these can cause misfire as well, extremely running rich or lean depending on how they fail. Now if they fail, your car will burn a lot more fuel than normal. These can also cause misfires because these work in sync with the DME. These work for the fuel and air ratio as well, so you've got to be careful of them. If they are going to fail, you're going to be left burning a lot of fuel, and you don't want that. The best thing to do is to replace them. I haven't known these to fail. Mine's on 160k. I don't know if they were replaced before my time, but I don't remember seeing they had. They're actually pretty good on these. One thing you guys do ask me is about catalyst conversion codes. This is because what happens here is the CCV ends up blowing, causing lean and rich codes. A lot of people are running scanners, not able to find out what the cause is, and it's the CCV hose behind the back here on the valve cover ends up cracking due to cold weather and the heat, because as you go, they got electronic heaters on them, so they heat up, they go cold, they heat up, and then they become brittle and they break. And then what happens, they leak oil into the foam bit, and then that causes your lean codes. Now if you're getting lean codes, it will either be your CCV or it could even be your O2 sensors. Now you have to remember, if that cracks, what ends up happening, it lets oil get into the combustion chamber, which then in turn ends up being burnt off by the spark plugs into the exhaust. And as you guys know, the exhaust ends up becoming very sooty where it's covered in oil. The best way to clean that is to use my video with the injector cleaner method to clean your spark plug holes. If you're getting still rough idle after replacing everything, do not use this method before changing out the spark plugs, because it won't work. It's to clean the combustion chambers, and then obviously to get the ejector cleaner into the exhaust, into the cat, so you can clean out the cats as well, because they do get covered in oil, and when they do, your car will end up throwing catalytic conversion code. So it's another one you need to be aware of on these. The next one I want to make you guys aware is this ground strap right here. This is a ground strap that a lot of people end up missing and not putting back properly after they change the valve cover. This ground strap is vital for the ignition system. If you don't replace this strap, which goes right here onto the chassis, onto the ignition coils electronics itself, your car will not start at all. So make sure you bolt this down correctly. It's something that a lot of people end up forgetting, and then when I tell them, they're like, oh yeah, I never actually realized. That is a big common problem, and that will cause your car not to start, or anything, not even the car to start up, if you forget that ground strap. So make sure you replace that ground strap on the car. The next one, guys, is a Valvetronic motor. Now if these fail, which they do, and they end up failing where the actuator goes backwards and forwards constantly, they end up breaking. Now when they fail, it can't advance the eccentric shaft, which sits right in here, which this sits on, which the Valvetronic sits on the teeth. Now the eccentric shaft ends up getting warm, the Valvetronic motor ends up failing, and if that can't advance the eccentric shaft, you will get no start symptoms, rough running, misfire codes, the lot. I would advise checking this Valvetronic motor as well as checking your Vanos solenoids, because they all work together in sync to be able to advance the timing. Now if your Valvetronic motor ain't working, which is very rare, I haven't seen these fail before, but they can fail, and they're not cheap part either, that will leave your car with no start as well. They're not that expensive now, they are coming down on price, but they're still about £150 for one of these. So like I say, the best thing to do is to make sure you check it to be on the safe side, and you can check it if it's there, and you can check this functions and make sure it's been reset. Because what happens is a lot of people change the valve cover, and on the pre-2007 ones, which is this engine with the magnesium valve cover, you can't just use the ignition key to reset this. You have to use ISTA to relearn the adaptions for the Valvetronic motor when you reset it, when you put it back in. So make sure and be aware you do this before plugging it back up, as you will not have you'll have non-start, or your car will run like a bag of crap because it hasn't relearned the adaptions of the Valvetronic motor where to sync with the eccentric shaft. So make sure you relearn the settings on the Valvetronic motor. Another thing, guys, I want to relate to is these. Now these are the Lambda Sensor plugs. Now what happens is when people take their manifold off to change change out the CCV, they forget to plug these back up and to run the wiring back up here. Now it's something that a lot of people end up forgetting because they're very quick to remove the manifold and don't remember that this get unplugged. Make sure you plug these back up, because these are for your Lambda sensors and that can throw a ton of codes if they're not plugged back up correctly. That is one thing that I end up getting a lot of, and these run, some of them, they run off to the rears for the rear O2 sensor, so make sure you plug these back up. It's very, very important, and plug them back up the right way. This doesn't have a function to show if you plugged them up incorrectly. It doesn't at all, so make sure you get them correct. The next one I'm going to speak to you guys about is the disser valves. Now, the disser valves don't usually throw misfire codes or link codes. They usually just say that the disser servo action is invalid, which then means that the servo motor that serves the dissers, which open and close them because they're electronic, end up failing, and they fail open, which then means that can cause too much air to be running into the manifold on startup, which can cause your car to run rough as well and your idle to run all over the place thanks to them not closing properly. It's a common problem, and usually they fail. If your CCV fails, what will happen is oil will coat them and just completely coat them to the point they'll end up failing, and the flat will fail and the oil gets into the motor and ends up just killing off the motor. So it's something you guys need to be aware of, that when you do your CCV, I would advise checking your disser flaps, and you can check them, leave them on the car, take them out, leave them plugged in and start the car to just see if they're actuating. You can use ISTA to see if they're actuating, just trigger them and see how if they're closing and opening properly. If the flap's still staying stuck open still a little bit, that's not good. They have to be fully closed, not even the slightest they should be open at all, and if they are, it means it's failing, and get it replaced before the flap ends up in the manifold and the pin ends up going into the combustion chamber, as I tell you guys all the time. The next one on these, and I'm just going to state it, I don't really seen it too much, is the throttle body gasket on these. As you guys know, comes off when you're going to take the manifold off anyway. Now, a lot of people say to replace them, but my one was fine when I took it off and it's still fine now. I don't believe that will cause misfire codes. My throttle body gasket is still perfect from this day. I didn't change it, I didn't feel I needed to, but it's something that a lot of people, some of them can get really crushed from over tightening, and if garages have touched it, they probably crushed it. So I would advise changing it if you're going to take the throttle body off anyway, because it's coming off and it's very cheap gasket anyway to replace it. Just replace it. But that can also cause leaks, because obviously, as you know, as you go to accelerate, the air is leaking through, so you're losing actually air pressure and you're losing throttle performance if that's leaking air. The next one on these guys is the Maf sensor. Now, as you guys know, the Maf sensor is crucial for the amount of air being detected by the DME. Everything has to go through this Maf before it enters that manifold or enters that engine. It all has to be calculated. Now, if that fails, which was a common problem on the M54's common failure point, you guys know that will cause no start, complete rough running, and obviously your car can end up cutting out when you're driving as well. I know people say in an automatic it's hard to cut out a car, but these things will cut out the car if they're not running right. So guys, the fuel line is another common one that I get asked a lot of times on YouTube, where this one goes to and how to replace it. This one will run off the back here, it goes down up the back of the manifold, and it runs onto a solid steel line under the car that runs towards the fuel pump in the fuel tank. This is the one that enters the manifold, this is the return. So this is the return pipe. This one also goes off into the steel pipes back to the fuel tank as well. So this one brings it in, this one returns it back to the fuel tank itself. So if you want to know where they go, just look under your car from the back of the engine itself and you'll see this pipe running down back to the fuel tank. Now the next one, guys, I'm going to relate to on this video, and I'm really relating to this realistically because I'm getting asked this quite a lot about the oil filter housing since my previous videos. Now, a lot of you ain't aware, if you've gone and checked your coolant prior to my video and you've seen your coolant's empty and you're saying you've got no leaks, your water pump's fine, this, that, the other, you don't know what's wrong, check your oil filter housing, because what a lot of people ain't aware of is when they start their car and the car gets to heat, the oil filter housing gasket likes to leak from down here, and it will leak down the engine block straight down there, and you'll see it sitting all in your engine block, and that's where it's going. And it only does it when the car started. You don't lose all the coolant, you'll lose it, the whole coolant from the reservoir itself, and that's the only time people end up noticing it, is when it leaks straight down there, and that can be catastrophic if it's left unattended and you don't check your coolant regularly. That's why I mentioned it in my video. You'll end up with no coolant and end up overheating your car. That's why I tell you guys to check check your coolant, because the coolant, these are known to leak, and they leak down the block and you don't even see it. It just burns off with the heat of the engine straight down there on the engine block, and that's it. You don't see that they're actually leaking. They leak down this side right here, so it's something you need to get a flashlight and just see if you've got any kind of coolant or oil sitting down there in the block. Don't look onto the floor, it will leak from here. It doesn't usually leak from the oil cooler, it usually leaks from the filter housing itself, and it will leak straight down there, and then you'll know where your coolant's going. A lot of people are unaware of where it's going, and they don't see any leak. That's because, as I said, when it leaks, engine's already hot, it's burning the coolant off, so that's why it's just evaporating and you guys ain't seeing where it's going, and you think you've got no leak. It's actually leaking onto your engine block, so it's something you guys need to be aware of. So another one I want to get to, guys, is the Vanos filters, and as you know, they sit right down there. Now, a lot of people say about taking them out and clean them to stop rough idle. No, that is not going to cure your calls. I'm telling you right now, in the time I've owned this car, I've never took out the Vanos filters at all. I'll tell you another thing that will cause misfires and stop your Vanos working properly. As you guys would have seen in my oil filter video change on this car, when you take this oil filter cap off, it's got a Vanos filter in there which the oil filter is meant to go onto. Most garages throw that away because they don't even realise it. They just pull the oil filter off and just throw the whole thing away, and you're left without that. What ends up happening is that Vanos filter missing ends up causing all your misfire codes, your rough running codes, and also your lack of oil pressure as well on your car. A lot of people are not aware of that. It ends up getting thrown away by garages, and that's why you got a lot of problems. If I was you and you're getting them kind of codes and lack of oil pressure, and also your Vanos codes related, check your oil filter housing that the garage has not thrown the Vanos filter that sits in the middle that separates the oil and controls the oil flow to the whole engine itself and the Vanos away, because a lot of people do throw that away and it can be catastrophic for your engine. There's also another point to check your oil filter. A lot of people end up getting cheap oil filters, they end up crushing in, and they're hearing like a screaming sound, like a belt sound coming from their oil filter housing, and that's because the oil filter has been crushed and it's causing a load of noise coming from the oil filter housing where the oil can't get around the engine because of that oil filter housing being crushed. It can't flow it properly, so you guys need to go and check your oil filter housing if you've got any kind of sound coming from there, and make sure that Vanos filter is actually intact, because trust me, I've seen a lot of garages throw that part away, and it is crucial for the whole Vanos system, and that could be your reason why your codes are coming up as well. A lot of garages who don't understand BMW will throw it away and think it's not needed, so take my word, guys, it's something you need to go and check. So the next one, guys, is the fuel injectors. Now, the reason I mention the fuel injectors is because a lot of people end up taking these out to change the seals on them or the gaskets, and also they think they need to take it off to take the manifold off or to take the valve cover off, and they don't seat them back properly. Now, if these are not seated back properly, these will not send the right amount of fuel into the combustion chambers, and if they don't send the right amount of fuel into the combustion chambers, you will then end up with a lot of misfire codes as well. Check these are in properly and bolted down properly. As you see here, the 10mm bolt there and a 10mm bolt there. Make sure they're all bolted in properly, because if these are wobbling about or loose, or one of the injectors are not seated properly, you will end up with bad misfiring and also your car not fueling correctly. So it's something you need to check, because like I said, when you take the valve cover off, you end up taking the whole injector side off as well, so be aware of that. You also take the injector, the loom off, which is the electronic box as well, which sits here. You have to take this off to get to the bolts underneath. When you take this off, make sure when you put it back on that they're all clipped in correctly, like this one is. You just want to make sure everything is clipped in correctly back again, otherwise that will be the reason why your car won't start as well, if this is not clipped back in correctly, because it's very important that these clip back onto the connectors onto the injector rail itself. Okay guys, so as you've just seen now, I've just gone over all the misfires and the rough running symptoms again in this video for a lot of you who are new to this channel, and a lot of you are still asking, because I know the N52 is a common problem with common misfires all the time and rough idle. The best thing to do on these engines is to overhaul the whole engine and just replace everything I've gone over, to just eliminate all possible causes and to have this car running good for another 100k. I tell people all the time, you cannot replace this part when it fails and then wait for another part to fail and replace it bit by bit, because you'll constantly be replacing parts. What you need to do is source good parts cheaply from the BMW dealer, and trust me, BMW dealer is not expensive for parts. I don't care how many people say they are not. The way you've got to see it, if you've afforded to buy a BMW, you've got to afford to pay out for the costs on these cars. That's the way you got to see it. You didn't buy the car cheap, so don't use cheap parts on it. You cannot run these cars cheap, and running them cheap is the reason why a lot of you end up with money pit, and then with them running into the ground because of that reason. That's why a lot of you are getting gearbox failures, something I've never ever experienced even in this country, in the UK. We don't have them problems problems here of gearboxes at all. Only on the diesels that's normal, but on the petrols that's not normal. So like I'm saying to you guys, if you are having problems, this video should hopefully help you. As I said, make sure you replace all your parts and all the parts we spoke about. Failing that, your car will continue to run like crap. As I said, do not replace just one ignition coil. Do not just replace one solenoid when it fails. You replace both at the same time. A lot of people sit there and say, but we don't have the money. Well, if you don't have the money, you shouldn't have got the car. It's very, very simple. Obviously, this car is not for you, so sell it to someone who's going to be able to maintain it and afford to maintain it. You're not driving these. These are very stereotyped cars just for the name and the badge. That's all a lot of people want it. But then you come to realize that it's the most unreliable car you will ever think of, because it requires a lot of money, and they're not reliable when they need a lot of money at all. Unless you have the money, like I always tell everyone, I have a lot of money saved for when these cars need repairs. For that reason, that's why I overhaul it all. I've got enough time to save in case this problem ever comes again. I can overhaul it again. That's why you've got time to save. So 100k is a long time to save another load of money. You can end up with another car by then. But if you was to keep the car, then you've got the money to go and overhaul it all again. But I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. This is BMW Dr. Dean. If you have enjoyed this video and you haven't subscribed already, please go ahead and subscribe. Please go and like the video if you ain't liked it already. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and goodbye.